This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to the Bethlehem Baptist Church, a Christ-centered multicultural church where we embrace inclusion and diversity, and our mission is to love God and serve people. We're delighted you've joined us this evening for our Fireside chat, and we're blessed to have Reverend Monica Hall, one of our associate ministers here at Bethlehem Baptist Church, and Ivan, a staff member at the North Penn Y in Lansdale. But before we begin this conversation, let us have a word of prayer. Gracious and glorious God, it is with gratitude that we gather this evening, first of all, to acknowledge your goodness, your kindness, your love, and tender mercy. And we pray now, O God, as we seek to love you and serve people, that you bless this conversation, all the things that are taking place at the YMCA. God, we pray right now that you would get the glory and your people will be edified. In the wonderful, marvelous, incredible name of Jesus Christ do we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'm delighted that you have taken the time to join us this evening, and I'm appreciative of all the things that you do, in particular, Reverend Monica Hall, as you have become such a vital part of this congregation, and now working at the YMCA. And then you have sitting next to you a staff member also. So first of all, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, and then ask that you would do that as well?
Absolutely.
I think you've been working at the Y for 12 years. But first of all, tell us a little bit about your experience at the YMCA at this point.
Sure. Thank you, Pastor, and thank you for having us and this opportunity to talk about the YMCA. My journey with the Y has been a really one that I think will encourage, especially the moms that are returning to work. So long story short, I was not working. I had made a career change and went to seminary and was really at a tough point. When I went to seminary, I had decided, I said to my husband Tony, if I'm just a better wife and a mom, then that's great. But after graduating and I don't know what I thought the kids get cheaper after diapers and formula, but that's not true. And so realized needed to go back to work, was really struggling to find employment, had been at the YMCA as a family, and my family decided to go to a different gym. It wasn't meeting their needs. And so I couldn't fathom paying. I wasn't working. I said, I can't pay another gym membership, but realized I loved it there. I loved the classes, I loved the people, and didn't want to leave. And so I was told that you could volunteer. So I actually started at the Y several years ago as a volunteer. And I volunteered for a couple of years. And then there was an opportunity in the area of wellness that I was volunteering. So I asked, and you shall receive. And they hired me as a wellness coach. And then I was promoted after that into the group exercise coordinator position. And that's even an interesting story. I asked about that job when it became open, not once, but twice. And I was rejected twice. Both times I was told, and then the third time it became available, I actually didn't apply. So I'm not getting to strike three. I don't want to be out. And they approached me about that opportunity. And so that's a lesson right there. And, don't let that first no be the end all be all. And then recently, I guess last month, I was promoted and asked to be the Wellness and Group Exercise Director. So now I am the Wellness and Group Exercise Director. I report to the Executive Director, and I have overall responsibility for our wellness area. So when people come and work out and exercise, and all of the classes are my responsibility, and we have 52 classes every week. 4 more this Friday for First Friday. And so it's been a wonderful journey, and I just want to encourage those, not just moms, but dads too, that may have taken time off or made a career change, that you can start over and you can achieve even later in life.
It's wonderful. Tell me about your journey, how you got to the Y, and what your position is now.
I am currently the programs director. As programs director, I oversee sports and athletics, the active older adults, and I book the parties for special events there. My journey at the Y started in 2012 in the pool. We moved to the area chasing the moving from Philadelphia. We were in a community that we loved, but the schools just were not sufficient. And my wife was homeschooling, and we have 4 children. And she said, I just can't homeschool all 4 of them anymore. So we started looking, and I had DJ'd, parties out here, some of the schools, and I said, we really should look at the North Penn School District. And that's pretty much how we moved out here. And so we took our family to the Y to get memberships. And I was just determined to learn how to swim because I couldn't. So I started in the pool, and I would just go every day until I eventually taught myself to swim. And then I was recruited to be an instructor. And I stayed in that department for 6 or 7 of the years that I was there until I was promoted to lifeguard, and then ultimately the assistant aquatics director. And then COVID happened, and I bounced around for a little while after COVID because they didn't need an assistant director. And then, not unlike Monica, I guess a couple of months ago, I was approached about taking the position that I currently have. So, yes.
I know a lot of people, see the Y as a fitness center, but what else do you do in terms of expanding the lives of others? Some programs that you have other than in the gym?
For me, my biggest one, it's my baby. I think it is certainly the moral and ethical priority of my time there right now is we have 7th, 8th, and 9th graders who descend upon our building every day. Most of them come from Penndale Middle School. And when that school lets out, those young people, they need a place to go. And they need a place to go where they can be safe, warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and where they can get some form of mentorship, something from us. Oftentimes, I think I've spoken to some of the local business owners. The kids come in and out, and sometimes, young people are young. They don't know how to govern themselves all the time. They need us to not only tell them, but show them. And so, they get kicked out of one place or told they can't be here, can't be there. And so now we're in a unique position because we offer a free membership to 7th graders. And then many of the 8th and 9th graders have memberships through their parents, but they're just in the building. And they're not necessarily being engaged all the time, though the Y is actively trying. What I've been trying to do is to, like I was recruited as a swim instructor, recruit volunteers and/or employees, people who have that extra couple of hours in the evening who are looking to whether, it seems like you're just on the basketball court with them, but they learn a lot from our posture, the way we carry ourselves, the language we choose to use in trying to be mature and appropriate people, how we treat others, how we speak to the other staff members at the Y. So for me, I realized that I took on this position thinking I would be just booking birthday parties or that I would just be scheduling trips for the active older adults so we could go to the flower show. But for me, it's mostly been buying food for hungry kids or buying snacks and water bottles for hungry kids in the afternoons and trying to assure them that I'm here as a resource. I'm bringing on other people who who will be resources to you, and trying to engage and entertain them in appropriate and productive ways. Sometimes it's just sitting down like we're doing now.
One of the things that I was really impressed with is the facility as a whole, and certainly with the complex, with a number of opportunities there for ministry. Reverend Monica Hall, is there any way the church can partner with the Y to do some things that would enhance the overall community?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like Ian mentioned, we're always looking for volunteers. We have a couple of events coming up. I'm doing a craft show in April, so we're looking for not only vendors, but people to help prepare, set up, break down. In May, we have a 5K run and a family fun run that we're doing at Parkside Place, which is, what's that, Upper Gwinnett? Upper Gwinnett right there. And so again, looking for people to participate, looking for people to help recruit. Always looking for donations throughout the year. We do the, we do the jacket, the clothing, the winter coat drive. We also do the back to school with the backpacks drive. I mean, we're constantly collecting, and we just get calls from the community for people that need help. We provide scholarships so not only do we do the free 7th grade membership, but we provide scholarships for those that can't afford to go to the YMCA. So, we're always looking for people that are willing to sponsor in that initiative. Those are just a few off the, we have our wellness, how could I forget the Wellness Expo? We have our Wellness Expo in the fall, and we'll have different health organizations come, and again, looking for sponsorship and just people need to see and know that the church is available, and we are a Christian organization, so it's a way that not only do they get to know us, but get to know the different churches in the area as well. And I did want to mention the programs outside of the gym that I do, a couple of things. The North Penn High School, their special needs adult class once a month comes into our YMCA, and one of my instructors works with them and provides a group exercise class. Either that or they'll work on the equipment and I'll work with them. We also have our power lifters from Special Olympics. They come in and power lift Wednesday evenings at our YMCA. I don't know if you've heard of Developmental Fitness, but they are a fitness organization that specifically works with special needs adults, and they work out of our YMCA. So we make sure that they are welcome and available. And nutrition is coming. We are in the process of having nutrition classes. We really want to provide, like you said, we want it to be more, wellness is more than just exercise. So we're really trying to provide that holistic health. So there will be some nutritional classes and counseling at our YMCA. And we did have it, but then COVID came, so we're in the process of rebuilding. Yes, we want to do it a little bit differently. Now that COVID's more behind us, have it be a little more hands-on so we can have some more accountability for each other.
So are you connected with the community in Lansdale? Is the Y really a part of the overall community in that area?
I would say that the North Penn YMCA, period, both the Lansdale branch and the Indian Valley branch, certainly the Lansdale branch, it is a bedrock hub of North Penn, and that would be Lansdale, North Wales, Hatfield. We just going into membership and scrolling through names, we have, 13 or 14,000 members, and you see all of those townships are there. If we don't offer something, if Indian Valley doesn't offer something, their members will come to us, and vice versa. And the one thing that Monica pointed out that is really important is almost every single person in our facility gets some kind of financial aid, in that through our annual campaigns and the monies that we raise, we are able to keep our programs affordable. Very few places where you can get introductory gymnastics classes at the prices that we offer them for. And when I was teaching the gymnastics last night, those young ladies were so happy to have a place to get on the mat and roll and walk across a balance beam for the first time in their lives. And I know from trying to put my daughters in it, it's practically unaffordable in other places. So the WISE mission is definitely living up to expectations in our area and serving the community well.
What about the board? Is the board made up of people from the community?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to meet some of the board members?
Yes.
Yes, I've met them all at one point. Yeah.
Is the board diverse in terms of ethnicities?
I think so. I can't. The board changes. I know that depending on the day, it's different people, and I also don't know what's happened to the board post-COVID, but it was diverse when I was there. Yes.
Yeah, it still is. I mean, we have one of our board members, yes, who runs I guess it's the marketing and membership kind of committee is a minority. It is definitely, and it's women and men, and they're very involved. We have several meetings throughout the year where we get to meet them. One of the board members is on the 5K committee, actually, and is part of helping to plan and organize our 5K event.
Do you collaborate with other Ys, whether it's the Ambler Y or other Ys in the area?
No, we tend to. So we are part of the North Penn YMCA, and that is 2 branches.
3. Don't forget Harleysville.
Well, that's Lansdale.
Harleysville has a child care.
A
and
child
then
care.
Indian Valley,
Okay.
yeah.
Indian Valley. Okay, yeah. So that's right. So that'll make it 3. But we pretty much work within that network. You know, it's the one. It's considered the North Penn YMCA.
So who is the president or the CEO of the Y, of your Y?
That would be Bob Gallagher.
How long has he been there?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
been a long time.
He's been there much longer than myself.
And we do collaborate when necessary. Like there are times with Ambler, like so for example, several of the Group X instructors that work at the Lansdale Y also work at the Ambler Y. So definitely there is partnership. I mean, we're all under the big, larger national YMCA umbrella. But I think we're more, like Ian was saying, more embedded with the community. So for example, with the 5K, we are working with the North Wales Running Company, and they're going to help us do the Couch to 5K run. We also are collaborating with the Iron Knights, and we'll probably help them the triathlon that the North Penn School District does. We will probably help them either with some pool time or with some training through our wellness.
Over the years, have you been involved with the spring festival that's held in Lansdale area? Yeah.
Yes, I personally have not. I mean, it's only recently that that the Y, within the last few years, that the Y has been a full-time job for me. So.
Oh, okay.
But they have been going every year.
Yes.
And so we are going this year.
Right.
We'll be there this year. But yeah, the Y usually does a table every year there just so that they can, and we do Lansdale Day.
Okay.
Most of the events, there's another one that they do in the summer, not Lansdale Day, but there's another one. Was it Founders Day? Whenever there's
Day, yes.
an event, we usually will have a table. You'll see us on Main Street whenever there's something going on.
So recently I was at the Y for Dr. Frank Boston. Are persons in that community aware of Dr. Frank Boston? Is that something the Y talks about as well?
I really couldn't say.
Not as much. I think it's slowly getting out there. You know, Dr. Wanda Lewis Campbell has been doing a great job getting that out there. I have always known about Dr. Boston because he delivered my father.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So my dad has always told me about that corner of where his statue,
Broad Street,
Broad
yeah.
Street,
Right.
Broad and was that Fifth? I
Sixth,
forget.
is it
Sixth,
Sixth?
yeah, something like that. So I've always known who he was because he delivered my dad. So
How has the why strengthened your own personal life other than exercise?
community, definitely community. And even in our wellness area where people exercise, there's just as much socialization and community going on. There are some absolutely wonderful people there. We get so many people that widowed or alone, and they come looking for that companionship and that like-mindedness. So we are definitely a family. Even as a staff member, on those rough days, it can be a challenging, environment at times. It is the staff. I love who I work with, and that really, really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So in terms of ministry, and of course at one point, the Y was really emphasizing Christian ministry, YMCA, and of course now with the effort to be more inclusive, but do you feel as though this enhances your ministry?
Absolutely. And it's a blessing to be in both environments. I kind of knew in seminary, I love church, but I kind of knew as far as my pastoral role, I didn't really think that I would be a Sunday morning. Because if I would do Sunday morning, it would probably be in a gym somewhere. Because as you know, Pastor, my family is very athletic. And so I found a way to marry the two. Like how Paul talks about keeping your eyes on the prize and running the race. I think you can certainly marry them. So for me, it is an opportunity for ministry. I have 50 people that report to me. So that's 50 opportunities to be the gospel without having to say that. But since we are a Christian organization, we can. Actually, at all of our meetings, all of our director meetings, we start with an invocation. There's prayer before every meeting. When the board comes together and meets, it's an invocation. There's prayer before that. So it's lovely. But yet, at the same time, it gives me an opportunity to exercise tolerance and to stretch across denomination and interfaith and love everyone. Because it's certainly not just Christians that go there. And it's interesting. I had a child. I was in the gym one day. There were several of them in there, and I had to, check them. And I stood on that, and I said, well, this is the YMCA. This is, And he said, well, what if I'm not a Christian? Do I still have to? I said, this is what you got to do. I said, you have to treat your neighbor as yourself. I said, that's all you got to do, and we'll be good. And so it's lovely to be at a place to be able to hold that value.
Right. It's the, being in that Y, you may as well, if you come to the Lansdale branch, you might as well be in New York City. It is an extremely, extremely diverse community. Hindi, Indian, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, where everybody's there together. And naturally, when you're in that environment, you're going to come in contact with different faiths and different belief systems, and it really comes down to the word that Monica just used, value. Are our values the same? Do we treat each other as human beings? The first thing I want to be treated as is as a human being. When my children are out there, I want them treated as human beings. My daughters just learned to drive. I'm terrified. I know they're going to make mistakes. Right. I know they'll be pulled over. Will you treat them as a human being? Are you going to realize that they're afraid, and somewhere their parents are afraid for them? Will you treat them as a human being? And that's what I'm trying to do. I had to ask the children, just as Monica did, do you know what the C in YMCA stands for? And I said, it's not about whether or not you believe, but do you understand the assignment? The assignment is to treat other people decently and fairly, and I'm positive from my experience that community value is there. I live 45 seconds from the Y. I walk out my back door, I take my key, and I walk in, and I'm in there. So I'm there all the time. I'm there sometimes when it closes. I'll go back in and get something. So I just want people to know that we're there for the community. My kid is your kid. Your kid is my kid. And I hope we view each other as brothers and sisters, regardless of if we have differences in the way we practice our beliefs and faiths. And I hope we're sharing that brotherly love. Philadelphia isn't that far, so I'm hoping that brotherly love is moving. I moved out here looking for community, looking for opportunity, educational opportunity for my children, whilst my wife was still afraid. We're moving out of a community that we're used to and we're comfortable with. Are my children going to be treated the same way there? And my experience is 100% yes. So
I share some of your values as well. I'm blessed to be part of the Ambler Y board. Been on the board for a number of years and know the values of the Y and what we seek to do in terms of reaching out to the community. And again, in terms of the coat drive and some other things that have happened. And one of the things we really are committed now is how does the church move beyond these walls? So whether or not we have an opportunity to do some programs and things with your facility is something that I'm really open to. So we move beyond just Ambler or move beyond this geographical area and move a little further out. I think it's important, and obviously we have members who live in that direction as well. But I think our presence needs to be wide and varied. So I'm appreciative of that, and appreciative also of how you see the Y for yourself as a father, as a husband, more than just as an employment. I think that's important as well, because at the end of the day, you want your children to gain from your experiences, and hopefully they have and will continue to do that, So when we talk about the Y, we talk about, again, our Christian values, even though that word is not there, but the values are still there. And how we move forward to do ministry after this pandemic and moving beyond these local walls. So I'm really excited about that. Again, as I looked at the facility, it's so broad. I mean, what other facilities around you? It starts with a P. What is
Peak.
The Peak
Peak Center is in the Common Grounds lobby, and Manna on Main Street is in there as well.
As well as the assisted living communities, which is for it's housing for seniors, and it's income-based housing. It's really great. And during the pandemic, when the Y was closed, I had the privilege of working for all of them because the Y shut down, but the other three were still in operation. Nana was still giving food to the community. I was one of the people in that line. The Peak Center was still helping the seniors, and of course, the community, the living community was there, and it is just, as I said, it is the hub of our area. They have something there that is of benefit to everyone who knows about it. And during the pandemic, Manna extended their services to anybody who came. At one point, it was you had to be in this area, but then they extended it to all of Montgomery County. Beyond that, they said, if you come to us during the pandemic, we'll work it out. So they take that community value extremely serious, and they live for it.
So have you had experiences with those other facilities that are close to the Y? The Peak Center and Manna Main
Yes.
Street?
So for example, just this past weekend, I had the conference for the aerobic certifications and personal training certifications, and we used the Peak facility. And I think last week, Manna on Main Street, not all of them, but a group of Manna on Main Street came into the Y. We have a new E-Zone, and it's a gaming center, and it's got golf simulators. And so I believe our executive director had invited them in, a group of them in, just to come and try out the gaming center and the game simulator. I think he probably had some munchy foods for them and things like that. So we definitely work together.
And they extended it to me. As I try to bring in programs for the kids, I asked them if I could use their facility, the Peak Center this is, if I could use their facility to offer martial arts classes to the kids. They shrugged it. Yep, of course, just let us know what time. And when I told them I had hungry kids coming to me in the afternoon, but I personally can't afford to feed them every afternoon, they brought me 3 giant crates of food and told me, they just text us when you need more, and we'll bring more crates over. So, yeah, we're trying to create that village. At least in my world, like I said, that's my priority right now. The village has rallied around me to raise these children.
And we also have a physical therapy. It's PT Solutions that's housed kind of like right inside of our wellness center area. They have a separate entrance, and we collaborate with them. They've all given us cards, and so we give out free consultations. So if you're a Y member and you come and you do your orientation with us and you have some limitations or there's some concern, we just refer them right over to PT Solutions, and they get a free consult from them.
So when you talk about, again, expanding ministry, how can this church, other than the programs you indicated, become more involved other than seasonal programs? Do you see any way by which we can be a long-term partner other than just participate in particular programs?
Absolutely, because most of these things are, while they're seasonal, they're annual. So they're ongoing. Like we do them every single year. So I think that is a great way. I mean, I don't know when the board, when they roll off and new members, but that may be an opportunity as well. And again, like Ian, part of his role is he's creating new programs. We're looking to add programs. So if there's an idea that a church would want to birth, we would be happy to partner, with them. Meditation is one of the areas that I would like to. We have a lot of yoga going on, but I recently got my yoga certification.
Okay.
I am looking to, but prior to the director role, now it's kind of, I can't do too many things, but that meditation and meditative yoga is something that, for example, that I would love to, and that could be, I know we have spiritual directors here, would definitely be a way to help partner.
During this unbelievable experience with this virus, have you seen any need for counseling about mental health and those issues?
I haven't had to refer any members as of yet, but again, much of what goes on. So for example, my opener who comes in at 5, she takes every day probably at least 15 minutes, maybe a half hour. We have we bought a Keurig machine. So we used to have coffee. The old physical therapy people provided coffee for us for free. Then COVID took that one away, and the actual PT place changed hands. And because of COVID, we didn't bring in the coffee again. But my opener, she brought in a Keurig machine and put it back in our staff closet. And so when she gets a break after the morning rush, there's about 4 or 5 members that she sits down with every day. And they sit and they have coffee every day. So I think we probably are unofficially providing some mental health to folks. We have been a refuge. And studies have shown that exercise does help with depression and your overall and your immunity support, which is why so many people were upset when we had to close. And then when we had the spike, they were worried that we were going to close again, because we have alcoholics that, instead of drinking in the morning, come to the YMCA. There are 3 members right now that I know are homeless. The one gentleman told me, I sleep out of my car right now. He's recovering from, he's a recovering addict. And there's 2 other ones that I'm aware of. I think one we're going to try to see if we can hire. And they come and they spend the day at the YMCA. So we are absolutely indirectly saving people. And to see people come back after months and years with COVID, and to see their faces light up and to see them cry, because sometimes we don't realize what we've missed until we get back into it.
You also don't know what people went through. And it's not until they come back and you see them after not seeing them for a while, what effect COVID had on them. Or to see someone cry because they realize Manna's going to help them. Manna has financial resources and food, and they can't believe that it's there for them. And they can, you mean I can pick my own food? That there's dignity in your struggle. That having a hard time shouldn't take away your dignity. That if you're a senior and you have arthritis, that 30 minutes in the pool, on that warm water with that resistance but no weight. Some people have miserable lives without that, and they come in limping and they go out walking fast. And so we're committed to making sure that's there, because sometimes we might not even know the impact we've had on someone. We know that the potential is there to have that impact, and we want to make sure that potential is accessible. But we might not know exactly how much it means to that person until they come in one day and the pool is closed because of whatever reason. And then you realize how much they needed to be in the water, and they go, I can't walk if I don't get this time. You know.
Are you sure your job description is not marketing? Because you're marketing why you're doing a good job.
Okay, well it's 10 years. Mm. It's 10 years of seeing people limp in and walk out. It's 10 years of seeing people every day, and then they've passed and they're not here. And then congregating and talking about the life they gave us. It's going through the papers and realizing I have the letter, the pitch letter from the woman who used to teach the sewing class that my daughter took, and realizing that woman is no longer here. But I don't just see her pitch. I hear her character. I'm looking at her like, this is her. This isn't just what she wanted to do. This was who she is. And I put that, when I took over my job, I laminated that and I saved it. I kept that because I remember her. Now I can hear her voice in what she wrote when she said, I want to teach this class. So, I don't know, even if I wasn't working there, I'd still be there every day because.
I think, as I listen to both of you talk, there's a sense of passion that you have, and that's a teachable moment to our children, that whatever they do, to be engaged in and have passion about it. So it's not just a job, but something that you see as part of making life better for others. And I certainly appreciate that comes across very clear with both of you. And even though she's a minister, but in many ways, all of us are ministers. And so, in that sense, so not just for your children, but other young people, to see the value, and whether it's Manna on Main Street, or recognize also the countless people who live in the suburbs, who do not have the food to eat or do not have the opportunity to take advantage of of why. So the memberships are, really important there, providing people opportunity to become part of the Y, even though they might not have all the financial resources.
There's just as much brokenness out here as in the city. And I think sometimes in the suburbs, we do a better job of hiding it. The shame, we don't want to be that one. I think sometimes people are more open. Well, in the city, you're on top, you're closer, so you can't hide. It's harder to hide. It's a little easier to hide in the suburbs. But the brokenness is there, the loneliness, the depression, all those things are there. And many times we have quite a few people that are there because they feel like they have nowhere else to go. They feel like they're not accepted anywhere else. And the Y is a place for everyone. I have a family, they bring their son, I think he's 12, and he's autistic. And so, I'm trying to get them involved, and I kind of directed them to some of the programs, and they said, but he's not like the other kids. He's not normal. And I said, well, I don't like to use that. And English is a second language, so there is him using that term normal, I think was more of a language issue. But like I told him, I said, we're here for everyone. So I said, if your child is not being accepted in whatever program you have put them in here, you need to let one of us know, one of us directors, one of us staff members, because that is not tolerated. We are very, very, very inclusive. Right. And that's one of the things that makes the job so enjoyable. Like, so for example, in my wellness area, we've got the jocks, we've got all of that, but we have 70 and 80-year-old people. We have people in wheelchairs that we have certain equipment. We pull the chair out so they can push their wheelchair up and work out and exercise. So, I really pride myself in there is something for everyone at the YMCA.
And it's important too, because for those of us who live in the suburbs, who live in this community, who have benefited from living in this community, we have to realize that where your dollar may go further here than it would go in New York City or Philadelphia, for the money that you spend here, you wouldn't get as much in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is expensive. That doesn't mean that this area isn't economically volatile. Things in general are more expensive here, though, and you pay for your base cost of living, which means a person who is doing well right now could have any minor catastrophe. I'm not talking about something crazy, just any kind of job loss or something happened for us, and their back is against the wall. To have a place where you can still hold your head up and find resources and try to keep moving forward. Have a minute where where somebody moves something and pushes your wheelchair up there for you, or notices you crying, but I've seen you for 10 years. So you get your hug before I even know what's wrong. That's important to have that kind of community. And if you think about what has happened over the last 2 years, where the stress of COVID, okay, and the political turmoil in this country over the past few years, what that has done is that has just washed everything out into the open. It is important now that the moral and ethical priority of our time is communication, it's mentorship, it's brotherhood and sisterhood. We absolutely have to be there for each other. We have to do whatever we can. We have to volunteer when we can. We have to be there to listen to each other when we can. We have to provide whatever assistance we can. And sometimes you can come up with a rubric. Sometimes you can draw something out and go, I'm going to go for that. And sometimes there's no potential in that for you. It's not accessible to you. But you could have something far simpler just right there, to talk to someone, to ask them, how can I help you? To see a kid doing something that is not appropriate, and regardless of whether or not that's your child, you go, hey, why did you do that? You can see the kid at Big Lots. Why did you do that? You know what? There's a place you can go. And I don't mean that from a marketing point of view. You have to provide a solution that maybe you don't have time in that moment to sit down and construct some grand plan, which is what we all want to do. Stewardship, that's something we all love. But you might take Monica and go, hey, I know this great pastor. You can head on over to Bethlehem Baptist Church. I can do that for you, because it's there. It's already there. I think what I have liked about the why is when I got out here, for me, it was already there. It was something that I could afford because I was already stretched financially in trying to provide this new life. And now all of a sudden I go, I can't afford that karate school over there. But my son wants to take karate. It's right there. I think right now what we need to do is we need to reach out to each other with all the resources that we do have and just do what we can. And I believe that in a given moment, if you have access to a resource or you have access to time and you can help someone, you'll know, if you're listening, you'll know right away what you have to do and what you can do. I think so often though, it's their problem.
Not ours.
It's your problem. You'll figure it out. Or with time, someone else will create this advanced rubric that'll work for you. And sometimes, if you take the time and you actively listen, you have a resource that you can offer someone. So are you going to do it?
I know the hour is moving quickly, and this is a meaningful conversation. And one of the challenges we have with the Emblem Y is transportation, particularly serving the underserved. Are your young people able to come to Y but get transportation, or do they need to get parents or guardians to pick them up, or what's the geographical area in which the kids can come and can walk home or catch a bus or whatever?
Most of my kids are locals. Okay. So most of them walk. I would say any given week, I see 40 or 50 that are starting to become really familiar to me, and most of them come from within walking distance. As you get older, of course, 16 and up, right, they're coming from farther away, right, and most of them have access to a vehicle right, but most of my younger ones, they're on foot.
Yeah.
We have a middle school directly across the street,
okay,
from us, so yeah, they're very accessible. And even the other middle school is only about a mile away.
And a lot of the kids, because there's not a lot down there. There's North Wales, but a lot of them will walk into Lansdale because my kids went right to that middle school and they live, as I said, right around the corner. So,
what word would you want to leave with the audience that's now watching and will watch in the future? Tell me one thing you want them to leave with from your heart.
Want to go first, Ian?
Sure. Community.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
But and it's good though. That means that it's come across. We're there. We're there. We've been there. We're going to be there. You're welcome there. Send people there. When you get there, we'll take care of you. We will figure out what you need. We might already have something there that you need, and if there's something else that we can get, we'll find a way to get it.
So,
I will leave you with the theme of our 5K this year. We are a beacon of hope.
Mm-hmm. And when is the 5K scheduled for?
May 7th.
So tell us where the Y is actually located and the hours.
Absolutely. 608, right? That's the
East
number.
Main Street.
East Main Street in Lansdale, PA. Right there at, if you know Lansdale at all, we're right next door to the shopping center where Big Lots is and Ace Hardware. Our hours, let's see.
They change. Monday through
Thursday, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday is 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. You know Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday is until 5 o'clock. It's 5 a.m.
Nope, 8 a.m.
Is it 8 a.m.?
8 a.m. to
Till
5
p.m. And then Sunday is later though. Sunday
8 a.m. till 2
2
p.m.
p.m.
Those
And
are our hours.
they've been changing a lot over COVID. Me, I'm freshly in the door because I went away for a little while and
Right,
came
we've
back.
been slowly opening it up and giving more hours and more hours. So,
So
it's
they've
been a
changed
moving
a
target.
few times, yeah.
So we're going to try to get some persons to take part in the 5K. So again, make sure we stay on top of that. And any other opportunity that you see the church partnering with, please let me know.
I am in the process of working with Minister Nicole Proctor, and we are hoping to have a First Friday Family Fun Night at the YMCA. So more to follow on that. I haven't gotten the date tightened up, but hoping to have everybody come and pay probably $10 a family and just be able to come and swim. I'm hoping it's going to be a Friday evening. I'm hoping to have some special pop-up classes, so you'll have some Zumba or yoga classes. The pool will be available. The basketball courts will be available. We're hoping to have some food as well, so that will be coming. And before the 5K is the craft show. So please see me if anyone would like to be a vendor or would like to help with setup or breakdown. It's an excellent opportunity just come and support the Y. And you can certainly make a donation. All the proceeds benefit our annual campaign, which is the money we use, for scholarships and to keep the lights
program,
on.
yeah.
We're a nonprofit, so
It helps us keep the cost down of the programs too.
Well, again, thank you so much. This is in keeping with where we're going as a church when we say we love God and serve people, and we really want to make a difference in our community to expand beyond these geographical areas. So I appreciate very much your coming and sharing, and we look forward to many opportunities working together. I'm certainly appreciative of the fact that you already contacted our Minister of Youth, Minister Nicole Proctor, and look forward to that. And so thank you so much. Thank you for joining us this evening. My heart is that we would continue to have these fireside chats to share with you the commitment of individuals in our community, individuals you may not know of, individuals you may know, and ways by which we can work together to the glory of God. They don't always have to be religious. They can be socially, they can be politically, they can be many opportunities God has given to us educationally. We need every component. We want to develop holistic lives for God and for God's people. Again, our commitment is to love God and serve people across racial lines, across economic lines, and so we're grateful for this opportunity. Look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Have a great evening. God bless you. Thank you again.